welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. We are continuing with our series on tarot messages by Human Design Profile. If you're here, you're either a 1-3 or investigator martyr, or you're curious and you have no clue what any of this shit is. If you don't know your profile, there is a link in the description below to get your Human Design body graph. You would need the same information that you need for your natal chart. So your birthday, time, and location. I'm sorry. Distractions abound. I apologize. It's really nice outside. I have my front door open and my dog is like just intently watching outside. So I'm trying to anticipate if he is going to start freaking out. So anyway, Human Design is a little bit more finicky as far as your time of birth, because there are certain aspects in your body graph that can change based on the time. It may or may not. That's also kind of the thing. So, I mean, you can play around with it if you want to. You can play around with it and just enter in different times and see if anything changes for you. Like if you don't know your exact time of birth, you can certainly use noon. Just know that, you know, there may be some things that maybe don't resonate fully. Maybe you have an intuition that you were born during a certain time of day. So, you know, you can use a time that correlates. So, you know, if you have an intuition, or maybe you've even heard throughout the years that you were born during a certain time of day, like morning, afternoon, evening, overnight, you know, and then you can just choose a time related to that. But like I said, it may not even change anything. For me, it didn't matter what time I was born. On the day that I was born, I was going to be a manifesting generator, 5-1 profile. I think there were some gates that were different, or channels, but overall, it didn't really change that much for me. But I have seen it, you know, affect other people's profiles or their type. So, once you have all that information in, you'll get something that looks like this. This is your body graph, unique to you. And we're looking for your profile here. Of course, you'll have all of this amazing information, your type, definition, strategy, your incarnation cross, the profile, inner authority, not self-theme. So, you know, the profile is certainly not the most important aspect of Human Design. What you hear a lot through Human Design is that it's more important to live by your strategy and authority. So for me, my strategy is to respond. My authority is the emotional solar plexus. So there's that wave. Or there's like an emotional wave to kind of allow yourself to go through before making a decision. And there is a ton of amazing information out on YouTube and the World Wide Web about each type, each strategy and authority, even about the profile. But for the purposes of these videos, we are going to be going by your profile. And I set it up that way because for me, and I am the one doing the videos, for me, it was reading about my profile that hooked me in. You know, it was hook, line, and sinker, or however that saying goes. Because honestly, I mean, it was like the first time I had ever felt validated in my experience with the world. And I was like, I need to know absolutely everything there is to know about this thing called human design. And it just keeps surprising me in the best ways possible. So, anyway, beyond that, so the last two readings we've done, I read the background and the personal. Today we're going to read the interpersonal, which is the last section. Personal obviously has to do with you. Interpersonal has to do with other people, like interacting with other people. And then, of course, we'll get to the tarot message. So it says, martyrs are often blamed for mistakes that aren't even theirs, which can undermine their self-esteem and create an us against them mentality, feelings of shame, or an inferiority complex. If they and those around them understand that life is simply a constant and necessary process of trial and error, ending in discoveries that can then support a solid foundation, then, or they can find strength in their journey. The focus must always be on what is learned from the experience, rather than the perception that they have made a mistake for which they are to be punished or ridiculed. This is the positive reinforcement that is especially important when raising a 1-3 child. When properly encouraged, the moment a 1-3 child finds out that the foundation does not work, there is the potential for wonderfully artful and creative discoveries to happen. Even though they may seem stubborn or resistant to taking advice from others, in truth, 1-3s must do it for themselves through direct experience in order to discover and learn. Parents can be their strongest allies, encouraging them to try it, and then fostering a tell me what you learned attitude rather than look what you did wrong. This allows 1-3s to learn through discovery, which encourages them to continue this process throughout their life and allows them to ultimately contribute to humanity and improve life for all of us. The only true failure for a third line is to not learn from their trial and error process. Investigative martyrs can become secure self-providers on a material plane when encouraged to take charge of themselves. The chain of 12 profiles begins with a 1-3 and ends with a 6-3. The third line themes of mutation, trial and error, discovery, bumping into things, and bonds made and broken are important and prominent in humanity. These are themes of the mundane world that bind us together and keep our species evolving. All 6 lines have a third line process in the first 30 years of their life. Therefore, half of the 12 profiles carry a third line theme. The third line is designed to operate in the density of the material world, and without that world, and within that world, we discover who we are. Very cool. I don't even know who half of these, it says famous 1-3s. I don't even know who half of these people are. I know who Harry Houdini is. There's Michael Caine, Pope Leo, Vincent van Gogh. You can even maybe Google if you care. You can maybe even Google famous 1-3 profile celebrities or whatever, because sometimes, like it's interesting, because you quote unquote know people, especially of course famous people, right? But it almost kind of helps you put, like kind of connect some dots by being able to be like, oh, I can see how they do things or how they have operated in the world. and I can see how, you know, that would reflect in myself and how I do things. And I love how it kind of focused on that third line, because I feel, you know, like the first line is about investigation, right? Like you are interested in almost kind of the mechanics of things, like how do things work? It doesn't necessarily have to be the mechanics. It doesn't have to be like engineering by any means, because I have a first line in my profile and I am the furthest thing from having an engineering mind. I'm sure, you know, like it's there. My dad is a 5-1 profile also, and he is an engineer, was an engineer. But anyway, so, you know, like it's kind of like, I feel like did we see this? Oh, maybe it was a high priestess. I don't know. But yeah, you know, like I'm just saying, you know, that first line, it's kind of like, what more is there to say? Like, you know, the foundation kind of comes from understanding how things work, but more so for the third line, it's like you do investigate things, like you have, you know, an interest in maybe how something works, but more importantly, you have to go out and try that shit. Like, you have to kind of put that knowledge to practical use and see if it works or not. And, you know, especially when it doesn't work, like it was saying, you know, you can kind of find yourself in a certain attitude about seeing things as failures instead of taking them as more information to support, you know, like that first line investigation. Like, oh, okay, so this doesn't work. But of course, if you didn't kind of have that foundation growing up, or that perspective, right? You know, like it might just kind of be hard to do. But of course, you know, I mean, like if you are an adult now, which I believe, I mean, most of us would be watching this, but, you know, you can maybe even, you know, spend a little bit of time shifting that focus, recognizing that, you know, those things that could have been seen as mistakes were really just good data. Okay, I know cards are flying out here, and we're just going to shuffle a few more times, and then we'll lay out our spread. I also like that bit about how, you know, they do have to do for themselves. Like, you can offer as much advice as you want to, but in the end, they're going to have to, you are going to have to, you know, experience the thing for yourself and see how it works. Like, you need to get your hands dirty, literally or figuratively. Very interesting. So yeah, I'm curious if, you know, like that's making sense to you. I was only gonna, okay, we're getting there. Okay. I just heard stop in my head, so I was gonna go for another one. It's like, stop. Okay. What is the message for our 1-3s? Remember when I was like, I feel like I've seen this card come out a few times already? I saw that one a few times. Wow. So the Ace of Wands, the Six of Pentacles, the Magician, the Ten of Wands, Interesting. 5 of Pentacles. Interesting. And the 9 of Cups. I love it. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. I love this. Do I say that every time? Probably. So we technically have 3 ones on the table. We have a 10, which, you know, simplifies down to a 1. So, you know, there's clearly this energy of newness. And of course, we'll work through each card. And we start with the Ace of Wands, which is that spark, right? It's like the spark of creation for anything. You know, wands tell us about action, communication, creativity, desire, passion. I see them as being the information cards also, whether you're receiving information or giving it. I love how there's all of this energy around their third eye, but also their crown. Because it almost kind of feels like there's this divine guidance. And, you know, this sense of surrender, just with this figure's eyes being closed. So, you know, it's almost like this, I'm getting this feeling of like really diving into what it is that sparks your interest. What are you passionate about? You know, how do you want to express your creativity? What are the things that you have been investigating? What are the things that you want to investigate and then go out and try, right? That's what this is. And I also love how we're starting with an ace. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if I mentioned in this take or one of the last couple takes that I tried in making your video. There are so many distractions, so I don't know, maybe you are feeling distracted also. I mean, we have the 10 of Wands here, which could also talk about distractions. So anyway, we were talking about the Ace of Wands. We didn't even really get that far into the reading. What were we even saying? And then, like I said, we have the 10 of Wands here. I love also that we go from the Ace of Wands to the 10 of Wands. You know, she's holding the Ace of Wands here. And, you know, I guess the assumption could be that, well, okay. The assumption that I've always had, okay. I feel like my brain is expanding a little bit right now. The understanding that I've always had with this card is that, you know, they've worked through this hill or whatever, right? Like they had already come down this hill. They're at the bottom of it, moving on, right? Because that, you know, the 10s talk about completion. The 10 of Wands specifically talks about burden. It could be feeling a bit overwhelmed, taking on too much responsibility. But I also see it as the experience and knowledge and the lessons that we've picked up along the way, like through our journey with the Wands from 1 through 9, right? So you have all of this information and it's kind of like, you know, you're able to carry that forward with you. But with it being a 10 and it being a completion, it does mean that, you know, like you are moving on to the ace, where, you know, all of that knowledge and information, you know, it would be releasing the burden and taking some things off of your plate, you know, finding that spark and joy and passion. But what I'm seeing in this card is that they're walking past this trail. Like they've already made a decision not to go this route. So you could be making a decision to go a less traditional route with things. And maybe not even traditional, but just maybe not, like it's a different direction than either you thought you would do, or, you know, like your parents, your siblings, your, you know, whoever around you, you know, like your friend group, you know, if you're in a relationship, right? You know, like, because here we have this path kind of lit up here, right? The path has already at least been etched in. And, you know, it would take a little bit more effort, even maybe, to get up this hill. But it's kind of like, you know, this was the expectation to go this route. And you're like, no, I'm going to go this route. That's what feels good to me. Which is exactly what you should be doing, right? I hate the word should. Every time I say it, like every time it slips out of my mouth, I'm like, I'm gagged because I'm just, I hate the word should, because that implies an expectation, and that implies that there's like a correct way of, or, you know, like an expected way of doing something. And I just, bleh, I don't, so excuse me, I take that word back. But yeah, I love that. Because also, you know, like it goes to, you know, I just want to see what this path has to offer. Maybe you already have an idea about what this path is. And maybe the fact that it's already lit up and etched in for you is the problem, right? You're like, no, there's already been people on that path. What, you know, like, there's nothing for me there. I'm going to keep moving forward until maybe I find something that, you know, lights me up or sparks my interest. I love that. I mean, you could be moving because clearly, you know, she's got her bags packed, her possessions there. It could be, you know, maybe a sudden kind of thing where maybe you're feeling a bit unsure of the path. Like maybe you thought this was a path that you were going to be on, and all of a sudden it kind of, it changed, and here you are, you know, checking out something else. It could have changed because of this Ace of Wands. And then we move on to the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles talks about give and take. It's reciprocal. We have this figure 8 here, or the infinity symbol. So it's it's understanding that energy works in cycles, really. Like it's constantly being recycled, and, you know, it doesn't necessarily ever stop or go away or die, or, you know, whatever the case may be, right? So that's, you know, that saying, treat others how you want to be treated. That's what the Six of Pentacles is. Or um, get give what you expect to receive, or, like just those kind of sayings where, the energy that you're putting out is the energy that you're going to get back. That's what the Six of Pentacles is. Because it almost, to me, it just the imagery of this card, it feels like these pentacles are in motion. Like this person may be dropping a pentacle into this person's hand, but it's almost like they're cycling, these pentacles go up. I don't know why I always feel like these are going up. I don't know. It could be that somebody could be offering some sort of assistance. And, pentacles has to do with money. It's, income, how we make it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our time, how we spend it and invest it. It could also have to do with our physical body and our health. So, of course it would just be dependent on your situation, but there could be some sort of like financial assistance available. It could be a grant. I generally see the Six of Pentacles as being something that's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be paid back. Like, I don't necessarily see it as being a loan. Because that would be more like contractual, and I don't really see it like that. It would be more, like I said, like either a grant, or maybe somebody's giving you a gift, or, maybe you, just out of the blue, for whatever reason, you get a check. Like, maybe you get a stimulus check. I know, there's a few states that are kind of talking about stimulus checks in some fashion. And I think it's just kind of like a one-time thing, but it's almost kind of like it would be enough to maybe get you started. It could even be, an idea, a job that is recycling back. Like maybe there was an opportunity that didn't work out in the past that is coming back to you now. And maybe it's transformed in some kind of way to where, like, maybe it's offering more money now because of, like the climate in the world. Like maybe it's just better financially. And we have the Five of Pentacles down here, which is interesting. The Five of Pentacles talks about lack. Maybe it's, being worried that you don't have enough. Feeling stuck, right? Like this figure is clearly not feeling very good about the situation. A lot of stress, maybe. But the fives are energies for us to, they're transitionary energies. So it's understanding that this situation is going to be temporary. It could even be that maybe you're going to need to ask for some sort of assistance, whether, that's a temporary, place to live, or, just kind of something to allow you to get back on your feet. Somebody could be offering you something along those lines. But this isn't an energy to pitch a tent in and get stuck. Like it's, again, like I said, it's understanding that you're transitioning through it. It's not always going to be this way. Because that's the thing, right? Like we go to the Six of of Pentacles, where the help does come in, the assistance shows up. And it's interesting that she is walking towards the Five of Pentacles. So again, like I said, like this could have been something that was maybe sudden. And maybe there's a concern that you're not going to have enough to be able to do what you want to do. But like I said, it's temporary. And especially since we have these two in the same row together. And, you know, also recognizing that there is this key here. So, you know, does she recognize the key? Has this person, like, have they tried the key and maybe it didn't work? Did they purposefully like put themselves in here? Because this could also just be like a grieving period. Because like you know, if this is sudden, then this is almost just kind of like locking yourself away to be able to feel your feelings. And I know, you know, I mean, Pentacles, I know that that doesn't generally talk about our feelings like the Cups do. But again, it's like this transitionary energy. It could even be that, you know, if this thing didn't work out, it has this purpose. Like it needed to fall apart for you to be able to kind of see it clearly. We have the Magician here, which is another one. And we can see this figure is, you know, really kind of playing around with these energies here. Manifesting and, you know, kind of putting them together. You know, the Magician generally talks about having everything that you need in order to move forward with a thing. You know, the Fool comes before the Magician. So we start with the Fool, where you know, make this decision to take the leap to go for something. And then the Magician is like, okay, like, how are we going to manifest this into a reality? It's recognizing that you have all of the resources that you need in order for the thing to work out. But then it's also, you know, kind of bringing all those resources together. This could even be, you know, like, since we're talking about your profile here also, you know, relying on that information that you have as far as what works and what doesn't. Because this would be knowing what works and what doesn't. And calling on those things that do work. And then we have the Nine of Cups here, which is wish fulfillment. Dreams coming true, right? I mean, like, you know, we have this figure here where there's a starburst coming out from the heart center. This treasure trove is open. I mean, like, there is amazing stuff happening here. Feeling really good about your prospects, feeling fulfilled, you know, like really loving how things are going in this moment. So, you know, this energy that you are moving through, this is even maybe just a reminder to actually move through it. Like, again, don't pitch a tent and get stuck in there, but really kind of allow yourself to move through it. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which is that the seed, right? It's a new opportunity, new growth. It could be a new job. It could be a new business venture. But again, with the Ace, right? And I also kind of love how these cards kind of have the same tone, you know, like the same kind of colors in them. And it almost kind of seems like down here, like up here, we have, you know, this spark of creativity, the spark of passion, desire, you know, like really being excited about something here. And, you know, there may be somebody that would be able to help you, or maybe you would even find some sort of assistance with figuring this thing out. Like, I mean, it could even be watching YouTube videos. It could be Googling and reading blogs, you know, like even something along those lines, if it is like a project or something that you want to do. And like I said, like calling in those resources and knowing kind of what you are to do. And then there's this kind of a bit of insecurity between these two cards. But then it ends with great stuff, you know? So it's okay, you know, of course, like to feel these feelings, like, you know, and of course, like if there is something that was sudden that happened, you know, of course, it's 100%, I was going to say relevant. That's not the word. Now, of course, I can't think of the word. Okay, to allow yourself to work through these energies here, you know. It's okay to be kind of worried about like what the future holds and be a bit insecure about your finances, you know, if you're making kind of big changes that way. But just know, you know, like it is going to work out positively in your favor. And it's also probably going to create new opportunities for you to make money and to be successful in the thing. I love this. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.